Hi, I'm Lisa and welcome to my craft room. I'm so excited to finally share this space with you. It's been years in the making, but I've recently put the finishing touches to it and here we are. A few tips I want to share with you. The very first one is be sure that you set a budget for yourself and you stick to that budget. It was very important for me because I've had a tight budget. Before you buy anything, measure your space, and I recommend that you take advantage of a free online design tool like IKEA's design tool. I knew I was buying cabinets from them, so that's the very first thing that I did. I measured my space and then I went into the design tool and I started creating. And it doesn't matter if it's a room or a corner in your dining room, utilize that design tool. You might be amazed at what you can do with your space. I was so surprised to find that my small 100 square foot space could handle 3 different workstations. So, touching on that budget again, I was very limited the first time I made a trip to IKEA to start putting my space together. I had $500 to spend. So, I started with the basics, the cabinet frames and shelves, no door fronts or drawers. I also purchased a Kylax 4x4 unit that trip, and they hold a lot of things, so that could be an option for you. And also, I purchased a lot of IKEA containers for organizing. So I started with the bare minimum. And once I had the bones in place, I took years to come to where I'm at this point. So let's go ahead and jump into this. I hope you enjoy it. I'll share more tips with you as we go through the room because I really have a lot of those to share with you. So let's start this tour. Welcome to Confetti and Cards with Lisa Mincing. If you like what you see, how about hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. So the first thing that I want to do is pan around the room so that you get a feel of the layout. What you're looking at here in front of us is my workstation where I do all my recording, I do all my creating, standing up at that workstation. Where we're panning around to now is my desk where I do video editing, voiceovers. That used to be where I did all of my recording. I would sit down at this desk and I had that beautiful light coming in from the window and I could create all day long right there and do recording with my phone. I've since upgraded a little bit, but that's where it used to happen. The only problem with this is sitting all day long is not a friend for me. I found that I was gaining weight. The lack of movement was wearing on my body, and I needed to change the way that I was crafting for my physical and mental well-being. That's when we created this station here where I work at now. I'll get more into those details a little bit further in the video. Also, we're going to pan around now and I'm going to show you where I do all my die cutting and paper trimming. It's at this place here to the right. You can see my scan and cut, my die cut machines, everything's over here. So one of the tips that I have found for myself, and this might not be for everyone, is that by keeping everything white or clear in my craft room doesn't weigh it down. The white helps the light bounce off and creates this beautiful bright space, while anything like the clear acrylic shelves you see here and the little tiny clear bud vases, those don't weigh things down, right? So like if it was a black shelf, it would create weight on that wall and it would start to feel like the room's closing in. So my tip is try to use clear acrylic shelves, clear containers to hold your brushes and things like that in. Now this is a new Copic marker holder that I found on Amazon. Very inexpensive. It's the last one I'm purchasing because I have gone through several different Copic marker containers and none of them have really worked for me. This one here, I love it. It's stationary. I don't carry my markers anywhere with me, so I'm going to be leaving that right there. I'll link it down below for you. I have some little things from my childhood, some bowls that I really like sitting on top of there, and that corner punch. I've talked about it in my videos before. I love that corner punch for rounding corners on your cards. Now down here I have Alex drawers, and then I also have a little cart to the side. That little plastic cart I ordered from Amazon, and it's actually supposed to have wheels on it. But with the wheels on it, it sits a little bit too high for sitting underneath my desk. So what I did was I didn't put the wheels on it. I only pull it out every once in a while. So it's not that big of a deal. And you can put felt on the bottom of it so it doesn't scratch your floor, because I did do that. And you can see I have an extra paper trimmer down there, an envelope punch, some palettes, just different things that I don't grab for often, but I also don't want to get rid of them. And I also, in that top basket, I have the cord and extra pieces to my rechargeable airbrush that you've probably seen me use on the Whimsy Stamps channel for Halloween. So let's have a look in the Alex drawers real quick. There's not a lot in these. I try to only keep the bare minimum. Here I have my new stamp wheel that I have yet to use, but I'm going to. And then in the drawer below that, I have a Misty and some little mat and a heat gun. All of these are my This Calls for Confetti shaker pouches and coordinating dies from the starter kits. I have some more products from This Calls for Confetti. And then, of course, I have a confetti cache here for demonstrating purposes. So this is the left side of my work desk where I do all of my video editing and my voiceovers. And if you look to the far left down on the side by the Alex drawer, you're going to see that's where I store all of my replica surfaces. And I just keep them in the foam sleeve that they come in to protect them. And then as I need them, I'll just slide them out and then put them back in there once I'm done with them. So the drawers on this side don't have a lot in them. Calendars, cords for my charger and my phone, my glass cases and things like that. Here I have some small inks, and I use these spoon rests to lay my blender brushes on. These are just paste. I don't use those very often, and also some enamel dots. And then down here, I have my Copic refills. And this is just a large, clear organizer bin I found at TJ Maxx one year and brought it home and made the dividers out of white plastic pieces I had, created my own Copic refill holder. So right over here, I have a little bit of real estate. So I have my OrganizeMore ink holders up here. Plus I also have a cart, a rolling cart that I keep in this area as well. And I'm going to show you that rolling cart in just a few seconds. But I want to talk a little bit about the OrganizeMore ink holders. I've had these. I remember when I first got them, I thought I was Queen Bee. And I kept them in that 4x4 Kylax unit, and I store my distress inks and my distress oxides. Plus, that gives me room to grow with the collection. I also use the real estate on the very top of my ink holders to put cards that friends have sent. Okay, so let's talk about the craft cart real quick. If anybody has a link to a acrylic craft cart or a white craft cart they want to share with me, leave it in the comments down below. I want to check it out because I'm looking to replace this one. This one has been good, but the black has just got to go. I'm not happy with that. So, but in the top of this one, I have watercolor stuff, extra pens, and paper, projects I'm working on, all fit on this top shelf. And these are some bags that I found on Amazon, and they'll lower down and lift back up for you to zip and carry with you. Also, IKEA bins. I love these little bins for storing my distress oxide sprays and alcohol inks in, and I have those on the second shelf down. On the third shelf down, I have colored pencils and alcohol inks products. Along with the bottom shelf, I have silicone mats, a splatter box, and extra heat guns. So my workstation that you see here in front of you is actually 3 individual cabinets that we took and put together using cabinet screws. And then I just trimmed it out so you couldn't see where the cabinets were put together. And then we put a butcher block countertop on top of it. And it has given me so much more space in my craft room. Plus, it allows me to stand up and move around freely, which is a plus for me. Now, I'm going to open all the cabinets up down below and let you see how I store and what I store in them. But first, let's go ahead and talk about creating storage moving up a wall instead of moving away from the wall. And what I mean is, if you look, I have those pegboards and they don't take up a lot of space, but yet they offer a lot of storage. So everything that I need to craft with is right there within my reach, and I can just grab it as I'm working and then quickly put it back. And not only does it give me great storage, but it helps me keep my work area clean while I'm crafting and doing my videos. So another tip for you is that whenever you have the ability to take storage up, go up with it instead of out. And because I have so little floor space in here, remember we're working with 100 square feet. Anytime you bring anything off the wall, it's going to create weight in the room and it's going to start to make the room feel smaller. So again, go up and not out with your storage if it's at all possible. So we're going to go ahead real quick, get a closer look at the pegboards, and I'll show you how I store things in my pegboards. So here I have scissors and craft knives. I have my rulers hanging there. Here, acrylic blocks, glues. I have water, alcohol, embossing powder in the back there. And then at the top, I have things that I don't use very often, but I still want to keep them handy. The middle pegboard has watercolor brushes, my airbrush. Anything magnetic is amazing because it sticks right to your metal containers there. I have cleaners in those. I have my lift and release tools, masking tapes readily available to me. I also have some sequins here. And then in this other one, I have my Misty, my scoreboard. I have my Tim Holtz Sidekick sticker maker. And then down below, I have my plates for my Sidekick. And below that, I have a fridge bin with double-sided tape and foam adhesives right here ready to go, and I just grab it, and then when I'm done I can just toss it back in. I also have this little container here, again another acrylic container that has pens that I use frequently. I have the Tombow mono erasers in there, repositionable tapes, more anti-static powders, just little things that I need, and I have it right there beside me. In these cabinets here, I store paper. On this side, I have all of my Copic paper, my white cardstock, my Nina Desert Storm cardstock, watercolor paper, white and black, also Bristol Smooth paper, and those little rainbow binders you saw, those actually have my stencils in them. In the middle cabinet, I have all of my colored cardstock. I have a video showing how I transitioned from other plastic envelopes to these with my colored cardstock. If you want to check it out, I'll link it at the end of this video. In that last cabinet there, I actually have all of my hot foiling plates. Let's talk about the drawers. This is just recently done. I did this a couple of weekends ago. I purchased some eyeshadow palette holders to store my inks in. And I arranged all of my inks, these are dye inks, in my drawer according to color. I have the first two, my VersaFine Onyx Black ink and my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, the very first two inks I have in the drawer because I use those the most. I also have in the back of the drawer colored embossing powder. So anything that's pink or red is in this drawer. And the drawer to the right of it, I'm going to show you, I have yellow and orange, and then it continues on. So here's the little eyeshadow palette that I was just talking about, and I'm going to show you those again. You actually get two in a box when you purchase those, and I purchased a bunch of them at one time because that's not the only place that I use them. I'm going to show you somewhere else. So here we go into the orange and yellow inks, and in the back I have yellow and gold embossing powders along with my ink refills. These are little trays. They have 3 sections in them. I originally had my ink in them, but I didn't like the way that it's set in those trays. Those are from the Dollar Tree, and you can get 12 of those trays for I think 15 bucks. Down in this drawer, we have green inks, and we also have green embossing powder along with silver embossing powder. And then in the drawer beside it, we're going to go into our blue greens and our blue inks, along with our embossing powders and our ink refills. The one thing that I'm struggling with this is that these little things move, but I found a solution. I have some grip mat on the way. I'm going to cut them down, the grip mat down, and place it in the bottom of the drawer, and then those pieces will stop moving. Purples, grays, and browns, and then I have clear and white embossing powders in the back there, and I have my ink refillers there. So this drawer houses a few more browns. I have some white pigment ink here, and then my VersaFine Clair inks are in this drawer. And then in this drawer, I have little bits and bobs. I have some threads that I mostly use around the holidays, little magnets for closing up interactive cards, and of course, our little wobble actions that we use on our cards. I have those there. And then I have a few Catherine Puller inks there. My hot glue gun. The drawer on the left is actually empty. There's nothing in it. And then over here, I have my magic mushrooms, which, by the way, I'm absolutely loving these things. And then the ones in the black containers are some that I picked up off Amazon because I want to do a comparison video. But again, I have one of those little acrylic trays that has 3 dividers to hold the containers. In the drawer below, I have my glimmer machine and my glimmer supplies. In this drawer, I have all of my glimmer foils for my hot foil plates. And then down below, these are just some photo props and my large scoreboard. And down here, ribbon. I hardly ever go in that drawer, but I have it if I need it. So over here is where I do my die cutting. I have my scan and cut over there, along with a couple of other things. Plus, this is where I store my stamps. My dies are in these cabinets over here. We're going to have a closer look. I do want to let you know that I plan on doing individual videos on like how I store and organize my stamps and dies. This is just to show you the overall room. And I want to do some other videos on like this really neat little handheld vacuum and other little things like that that I find useful, but I don't want to cram too much into one video. So I want to do some individual videos along the way to show you those items. So let's open up the cabinets and have a look in them. We're going to start with the upper right cabinets. I store my dies in here, pre-cut cardstock, extra cardstock that I have, and in the top I actually have extra adhesives. And then on the right hand side I have more dies and my slimline dies. In the top of that cabinet I store my drawer dividers. I'm going to show you those. Now, like I mentioned, I don't want to go into full depth detail on every little single thing in here. We're going to break that down throughout the year and talk about little things in shorter videos that might be more helpful to you. So here you can see I don't have a lot of supplies, and that's because my space is small and I need to purge a couple of times a year so that it doesn't become overwhelming and bog me down. One of the things that I think crafters struggle with is we have so many products that we don't use them, and then we feel guilty about not using those products. So I make it a habit to purge at least twice a year, and I'll reach out to people I know that might be new at crafting, or maybe they're a teammate of mine, and I can say, hey, do you want some extra things I've got laying around here? I would be more than happy to mail them to you. I did want to give you a close-up. I told you earlier that I use those little eyeshadow palette organizers for something other than my inks, and you can see here that I use them to sort my cardstock. This is pre-cut cardstock. When I order my cardstock, I just go ahead and have the paper mill go ahead and cut it for me, and then I don't have to worry about it. That's how I store my pre-cut cardstock. So here's a quick look at the left side of the cabinets. Not much in here to look at. Envelopes, extra stamp pockets, and extra bottles of alcohol, a tape dispenser. I have some tools in here. I store my camera in there. So there's really nothing that interesting in here, but it's just where I keep extra cards and stuff like that. So again, you see I have a lot of IKEA bins that I store things in. They're great for the IKEA cabinets. So before I dive into the drawers, I want to stop real quick and tell you, if ever given the option of having a drawer or a cabinet door, go with a drawer. These drawers have been a game changer for me. So in the top drawer here, you can see I have my mink machine, I have my foils, and I store the foils in just the clear refrigerator bins, and they store perfectly in there. We're going to go ahead and move down to the next drawer, which actually houses my stamps. Now, I don't have a lot of stamps, so you're going to be surprised. And again, because my room is small, I try to keep my supplies limited. It doesn't weigh me down. And so I'm going to go into detail about how I organize these. You saw there, I have the metal bookends that hold things towards the front of the drawer for me. Plus, I would like to talk to you more about those dividers in a separate video. So that would all be wrapped up into one video on stamp storage, organization, and all of that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. That is all 4x6 stamps in that drawer, by the way. And then down in the bottom, I have all of my red rubber stamps, any 6x8 stamp sets I have, or anything larger, as you can see. And I have room to grow. So the center section is a new section I've just recently added, and I'm absolutely loving it. So the top drawer has my label printer, some extra pieces for my little handheld vacuum, some pins, and I have some tape for my label printer here. Moving down to the next drawer, we have the plug for my scan and cut, and then of course I have just like extra little 3M hooks, binder clips, cabinet screws, and little pegs that, you put your shelves on, just different things. This drawer is nothing but distress oxide, reinkers, watercolors, and then this is just extra stuff that I store down there, extra pockets, and Simon Says stamp kits. Moving over to the last drawers in the room, we have the top drawer. It houses my 6x6 paper pads, embossing folders. I have a couple of extra paper trimmers. All of my die cutting plates are in that drawer. I absolutely love it. And this drawer houses all of my photo props and then some manuals and stuff like that that I hang on to, paper swatch books and things like that. So this drawer is not one that I go in very often. That's why I decided to put it there. The only thing that I reach for frequently are my photo props, and I have them all on the right-hand side in the IKEA storage. So I appreciate you joining me on my craft room tour. I hope I shared some useful information and tips for you. Don't forget to keep checking back or subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. I will be sharing some shorter videos on stamp organization, products that I use in the craft room to just give you a better feel for them, an up close look at them. Again, I appreciate you all so very much. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, don't forget, if you have an acrylic craft cart or a white craft cart that you absolutely love, link it down below so I can check it out because I am still looking for one. Again, I appreciate you all so very much. Until next time, please take care.